Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 21st of January. And well, coming off the holiday of that, it continued. There wasn't any question that it was going to precipitate this way. Look, you've got Trump in Davos, lots coming out of his mouth. The market reacts to it, and this is what you get. Broadly, though, you had magenta under yellow. So we already knew where we were going. We already had a DOC spread. It was just a question of whether or not right about here we were going to get continuation of orange below red, and it didn't happen. As soon as it pivoted back up, back over here, that was the end. That it was a large gap. Okay. Pretty severe, and still below the red line when we look at the extreme histogram here. So this isn't done yet. You could see some bounces off the 50 temporarily, but still not in a turnaround spot yet. Potentially close though when you see the magenta starting to turn here, but it's going to take quite a bit to move it. Now, when you have this kind of a move day, you could expect at least a third to half move back up inside of it. We'll see if we're able to get past the 61% here range and turn it around from there. But it's going to be a tough sell, and we'll continue to see, what comes in. What new battle is being created by Trump verbally? Of course, again, it gets back to the same story. It's the hyperbole that then leads to the panic from other parties that forces a settlement of some kind. And here's the reality. Without the hyperbole and without the dramatic claims, you wouldn't be talking about Greenland. They wouldn't be talking about NATO security, spending more money. So at the end of the day, it's all led to actions. And you could disagree with the methodology or whatever, but the results still are what they are. And it's actually been an asymmetric warfare that has worked out quite well. And, that fear from the establishment certainly causes a lot of activity. And that activity certainly has created new trade deals, tariffs, the whole nine yards, and none of the gloom and doom predictions came true on those. Which the tariff one we knew, the Venezuela and shifting to the oil when you could get the peace deal makes sense. Will it work out as quickly? No, and I think he realized that when he talked to the oil companies, and they realized, look, you still don't have the stability in Venezuela, and not to mention the ailing infrastructure of it. It's not as simple, just flip the switch. Whereas opposed to making peace with Russia, that already has the established supply capability and everything, it's already there. So it was a little bit tougher, but at the end of the day, you still also end up with a country that may have potential to get back into the economic reality of the world as opposed to being under sanctions all the time, because the sanction thing really just doesn't really have that great an effect over time. And there's too many other partners. It's the same thing with the tariffs. If you were the only person in the world that could supply a product, then fine. But that isn't the case. And so we look at even how bad it is from the NQ. You talk about chip supply and that. Well, those are limited, and that causes supply crunch, and that everybody's jumping into data all at once. Well, what happens? How long are these chips going to last? Not that long, actually. So the supply return is going to be there, but will the return on investment be there to be able to do it? And that is starting to become the question. When they do have to replace these, will they have the capital to do it? And do you have AI all of a sudden generating huge revenue that justifies it? That's the big question. So from a treasury standpoint, it's going to be all up and down. The Trump getting involved with Fannie and Freddie trying to buy up mortgage-backed securities to counter the Fed. It's an interesting concept. How much effect will it have? We're going to have to see that one over time. Your biggest problem here is the oil. And until that's resolved, you're going to see improved economic growth. Obviously, wages and things have started to turn around in the right direction. Will deportations be any more than normal relative to what they were under previous administrations? It's hard to say. You're going to have the continued social issues with the whole ICE thing, and how that plays out is it's slow. And again, these are all the things we've been talking about. Everything's been slow relative to what his expectations were for 1 year time period, and it's created a lag. Now they've got everything in the right position, and you just have to wait for it to unfold. Super exciting here because this whole idea that the euro now has come together and they realize they have their enemy in Trump to fight, um, even though they're still going to fight Russia that later on. Right now, they get to hold the line, and the U.S. is in trouble because they're going to sell all their debt at once to force Trump. And so that was the big, jump for the euro, thinking that wow, they have the power now. So power of nothing really. Uh, Gold, yeah, we expected this move towards the 5K is next, and it's on its way. It's just a matter of how soon you get there. Crypto's still unable to capture anything, and this, of course, they just trade with, particularly BTC, trades with the Nasdaq relatively clean, and it's just been having a tough time with it. And we're not going to see any change in that. ETH has been a little bit better, simply because it's had a little bit more excitement from the idea that they're merging more towards mainstream with their connection to stable coins and that. Uh, yeah. Those markets have matured. They're no longer in that high. Well, they're still high beta, but they're not as speculative because they've been around long enough. They're not going to just disappear. So some of those elements have faded away. So when we looked at it from our 50K standpoint, this was the holiday trade action right there. It was just the swift open of futures lower and didn't need anything else beyond that because it's NBI white lead. And if you're just following your chart, you had a short period of short cover right there. NBI white still led that going through, and then it was just once it closed right below. So anywhere in between this range was all short, ready for the move back to the zero, which was a pretty decent gap. You had all the way up there from the 68.90 range, and then it was a move back to 0%. So uh, I think that's a 50 plus point trade. That's a pretty good deal, and it actually continued beyond that much further, and that was pretty clean. So now you're in your minor short cover rally, but still below the 23%. So don't get excited. This is not healing by any stretch. And when we looked at it earlier from a 5K here, I mean, 5 minute chart, yeah, that was just pretty straightforward from the open. It was just non-stop, no bid, nobody wanted anything. And Asian session, most of the lift took place in Europe here. It's been pretty benign, but yeah, this is the sort of the what you might call the institutional payback. They just want to try and figure out where Trump is going with that, and they panic more than they understand. And it's that lack of grasping the final outcome that causes them that interim grief. And so the market reacts to it. It's a strange reaction, but they've been doing it nonstop. So it is what it is, and you just go with it. That's all you can do. Anything relevant, I'll put it on our team chat. Have a good one. Trade well.